Now that Zoom wants to let everyone know that the meeting is being recorded, thank you for taking me up on this opportunity to go through the roadmap of finding your freedom, the roadmap to your freedom, the roadmap of continual personal development, continual ancestral healing, continual walking in your path to one, be in your purpose, two, trust yourself, or rather trust yourself, be in your purpose, answer your calling, and essentially lead yourself to the life that you are here to live and that you're desiring. And I've done this share this presentation, this walking you through the process a few times, and it's because I literally do live this and I see how it impacts people's lives. And so I tend to want to share it. And then if you're interested in exploring it further together, you know how to do that. But if anything, I hope you have your notebooks and your pen ready to take some notes and explore together. Whether you're here live or you are watching on the replay, or you are, those are the only two options, really, I guess. But before we get started, say what's up in the chat so I know that you're here. Let me know where you are coming in from. Let me know what made you want to sign up for this particular offering. I'd love to know. And that'll give us a few more minutes for if anyone wants to join us. I'll keep an eye for it. Where are you at? Why are you hopping in here? What called your name to the space? Y'all on the replay, you can do this too. Take a moment to think of why you're here, what's calling you, what your heart's desires are, what your troubles are, right? What makes you feel like you are confused or stagnant or struggling or challenged that makes you want to get into this freedom creation process. All right, we got Lisa here from Long Beach. I'm interested in learning more about how ancestral healing affects our day. Yes, current day patterns and blocks. Yes, or is the key. Hands down, like we can just go right into that right away, but I'll save it for the slides. But here's my philosophy while we wait for a few folks to answer. My philosophy is that the wellness and personal development, the coaching industry is only scratching the surface of what's really going on because our learned behaviors, the energies in our bodies, the way that we think, the way that we relate, the way that we are operating in our lives has been inherited. We've either been taught it in school, we've either witnessed it in our households, or we've been out and about in the world trying to live and survive. And the world, media, culture, societal expectations has told us how we're supposed to behave and how we're supposed to live. And all of that is based on people who came before us, right? So, connecting with ancestors, having them actually heal their wounds to change whatever their worldviews are or have been before they transitioned, as they are in the ancestral realm, allows us to have more resource, more energy, and more space to embody the freedom and the change that we're here to be. And so, what I see over and over again is people doing all the mindset things and wondering why they're repeating the same patterns. It's because it's deeper things of dealing with the ancestors and people who walk within us and around us. So we'll talk more about that in a moment, but that's my philosophy. We need both the personal development, we need the practical things, the mindset shifts, the new rituals and routines in our days, the drive and the will in our own heart to step forward. We also need to be working with the ancestors to actually let them rest in peace and have them bless our path and help us as we step into our calling and our purpose. So thanks for kicking it off. that is the thing. We got Jazina here. Hey, good to see you again. Finding deeper layers to my trauma responses that intersect with not only my lived experience, but also with my ancestral heritage, and would very much like to move beyond my current blocks. Yes, I hear you. Thanks for joining from Amsterdam. We've got North Carolina in the house. As to what called me, just curious word. I guess that would be the best way to describe it without going into a long stream of consciousness. I honor that. It's a lot of different things. We end up somewhere, we click somewhere, we heard something at the right time, and here we are. So thanks for being here. And we got Missouri so stuck, so many ideas, never any traction, never realized it could be connected to ancestors. I'm adopted, so never crossed my mind. I hear that word. Thank you for being here. And it's honestly the two blocks that I see people have the most relating to ancestor work. One, in the moment that they're like, oh, shoot, I didn't even think about that. Yes, I think of family therapy or my family of origin and maybe what my family does, and that might be different than my desires, but I never thought about actual ancestors contributing to or hindering me in clarity in my life or in my path, but also that they're a source of resource, wanting to see us do well. It's both things are happening. But after getting into that realization, the two things are I'm afraid to open up Pandora's box for a number of reasons. Maybe it's your religious background. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to make sure this isn't demonic, that I don't know anything about spirit. How do I protect myself? How do I know that I'm working with ancestors? So that's usually the biggest block. And then the second one following that is, I'm estranged, I'm adopted. I don't even know my father or my mother or, whatever it might be around, again, finding family dynamics. That make you think that it might be challenging to connect with ancestors, but your ancestors are your ancestors are your ancestors, both blood and adopted. So we can definitely chat about that as we get further into the session. So I am definitely about the call and response. If there's anything you want me to reiterate, if you've got questions, drop it in the chat box. If you want to come on and chat with me live towards the end of this, let me know. We will leave space for that. We'll turn off the recording and connect for those who are here live because one, I love it, and two, you get even more out of it. And that's what I'm mostly interested in. I think that ancestral healing, in addition to personal development, is it's not new. It's actually a remembering that we all, regardless of your race, your class, your nationality, we all have groups of people that in ways that we come from, groups of people we come from in ways that we would honor the people who came before us and they would guide and support us in our lives. All the great movies that we have watched, we've been like, oh yeah, he went to see his dad in the ancestral realm, or his mother came down, or sometimes you pray and you're asking for your grandmother or someone to help you through, like going and leaving flowers at a grave site, all things around ancestral healing, ancestral connection. So it's not as far fetched. It just hasn't been as mainstream, and I'm grateful for the awakening. But there are some things we do need to know, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Again, around ancestral healing, and then incorporating that into your personal development practice. And even furthermore, if you are interested in running a spiritual business, or stepping into more abundance and authority in your spiritual entrepreneurship journey, then those things are all me. Okay. So if that sounds good, give me a little emoji or okay in the chat so I know that we're good to go forward and y'all are all with me. All right, I got a hand clap. Word. Great. Great. Let me know. I'll wait for two more. Okay, great. I got another one. I got another one. Let's get to sharing the screen. Yeah, let's go. I'm going to make this as fun as I possibly can, y'all. And I'm on the wrong side. Okay. So, roadmap to finding your freedom, a roadmap to your freedom and through ancestral healing, which, to be honest with you, again, there's two things that I want to highlight here. It's not just the ancestors, it's the radical trust in yourself or the continual personal development. Both of those are important because I see having a step on, I live on both the coaching side and I live on the healing side. Rolling in the spiritual world, I see a lot of people give their power completely over to spirits and ancestors, and then they're like not really living their own life, or never really develop that confidence or their trust or their intuition in themselves. And then I also see a lot of people who are leaning completely on coaching and the steps, and they forget about spirit and ancestors. So the thing that makes me different and which I really love about my practice and how I work with people is it's all three. It's about the practical application, knowing yourself, and working with spirits, whether it's your ancestors or other ones, so that you're well supported. So anything that I do, I always start off with an intention. So I'm going to invite you to do the same with me. I'll say mine out loud, but I want you to take a moment to take some breaths, take a pause, and really connect with your heart and what you're most desiring in your life and what you're most desiring, hopefully, to get out of this time that we get to share together. Just take a moment to feel that. And now I'm just going to do an invocation or say my intention out loud even furthermore. I just ask that all the great, other than human beings, that are in this space with us, all of our higher selves, all of our greatest callings, all of our dreams that have not been yet manifested, to the ancestors who walk with us, to the elemental spirits, to the lands that we're even working and living on. I just give gratitude to this day, to this opportunity to be in community, this opportunity to share the wisdoms that flow within and around me, to these everyone who's here and everyone who's watching. Allow this session to be well blessed. Allow everyone to get what they need, even beyond our wildest dreams. We are the change that we want to see in the world. And I just honor that. Thank you. And so it is. All right. A moment of intention can change so much. It really can. Just we go, go, go. We're on the internet. Everyone's saying all the things. Just to come back to a moment to be together to me is deeply needed. Okay. So I want to get right to the thing you're probably wondering the most about, and that is ancestral healing. When you get off of this call, you're going to get a gift from me, and that is a mini book that I wrote, and it's called The Lay of the Lands: 8 Ways into Ancestral Healing. And the reason why I wrote the book, and it's really short, I think it's only like 14 pages, is because I see so many people talking about ancestors and ancestral healing, and this is such a wide territory. There are so many ways to get into the work. It can be through altar work. It can be through cooking foods of your people. It can be listening to music. It can be doing genealogy work. You can be doing so many things, including speaking directly to spirits and inviting them into your life, those who are elevated and those who are well and heal and loving and wise, right? So you're going to get that book because I think that more people need to have it. I've only given it away in some of the like special collaborations I've been invited into. And so I'm now going to be offering it to anyone who's on my email list, people who come to my website, because it helps you be like, oh, I've been doing some ancestral honoring, or I'd like to go deeper in this area, or I've never done this before. I now understand what Ash is saying about going directly to ancestors as opposed to working through divination or any of the other ways that's in the book. So that's number one. Number two is that the roadmap to ancestral healing is one aspect inside of the whole process of continually finding your freedom. And to me, the way that I work with ancestors, as I said, is connecting directly to them. And we want to connect with them, see how they're doing, have them heal or transform any of their wounds, worries, issues, anger, bitterness, whatever they transitioned with that hasn't been transitioned out of them. We want them to actually rest. And there's a process about that, which I'm going to take you through in a moment. And then from there, we want them to be like, hey, now that you let go of some of those things, they were affecting me in my life and a lot of people down the lineage. Let's clean up the lineage and now let those blessings come to me. I need you to not be blocking me around your fears of visibility when I'm actually trying to create a business, or because I want to be a public speaker, or I want to perform my poetry, or I want to help mothers, but the mothers who are birthing, but the mother wound in our lineage is making me not be able to have good sisterhood, right? These learned behaviors and energies are things that keep us stuck and stagnant instead of trusting ourselves and trusting the energy that backs us. So that's what I mean about ancestral healing. It's not just what you would experience as far as therapy going and realizing that your mom and your grandma all had this issue, or like all your dads and your brothers all have this issue, and you see it coming up in your relationship with your husband or your partner or whatever it might be. It's really about connecting with the ancestors and then seeing where that stuff is aligning in your life. You can also work it backwards. You can say, oh, this is the symptom I'm having over and over and over again. And now let me go to the ancestors and ask them, where's the original imprint of that wound? How can they help me heal it, not just in my own life, but in the whole lineage? So, why is the whole lineage important? The whole lineage is important because we want to have legacies moving forward. And Western society and Western thought will say, if your life improves, if you feel better, if you make the money that you want, if you get the recognition you need, then all life is well. But we know that that's not true. We have a high rate of suicide. We have people who are fulfilled, making all the money in the world, and they're miserable and depressed. We have people who have thousands of people around them and they feel completely alone, right? So it's not about just the upward mobility of your lifestyle. It is about the energy in which you walk with, who you are in the inside. Are you happy there in your lineage and in yourself so that you can actually live the life that you're here to be? Yeah. Let me know if that is resonating with y'all. I'd love to know. Let me know. You know, that's the song I always sing when I'm doing workshops and teaching and things. So there are four things that happen when I do ancestral healing with folks or when I guide you through ancestral healing. One, you become aware, more aware of what the actual wounds are that's creating the symptoms. Someone can say, I doubt myself, or I fawn, or I fight and flight, or whatever it might be. The actual wound is completely different sometimes, right? So, awareness of what is the core wound, that's number one. Two is you actually connecting with an ancestral guide. So I will guide you through. I have recordings on how to do this, but guide you through trance state, not where you're completely zenned out, but like slowing down your brain, allowing you to feel the energy around you so you can have the ancestors come forward and a specific ancestor guide, which is a process to identify if there's someone you should work with, making connection with them and knowing that they can help you in your life and also help you in the lineage, right? The next step is to alchemize. That means after we connect with the ancestor, we're like, yo, I figured out this wound. I've connected with you. This is how it's affecting me. This is how I know it affected family members that I know of or those who passed. You showed me how it's affecting a bunch of people in the lineage. We need to shift this energy. It needs to move from bitter and angry and scared to open, trusting, and like moving forward. I need you to handle that. And if you've seen any of my Instagram posts, you know that I often say people are saying that they are going to break the chain and heal the family forwards and back themselves. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't do all that on your own. You will be very tired and exhausted trying to heal everyone's pains. And we know that's true because we can barely do it with actual physical people here. How much more with dead folks who are thousands and years and centuries and so many generations of repeating the same thing. So we call on that ancestor guide to help you facilitate the work amongst the ancestors themselves. And you see it. You see them do it, you feel it, you witness it, and your job is just to watch and receive the blessings. So that's the alchemization process. And then fourthly, after the alchemization process finishes and the state of the ancestors move from one state to another, you ancestralize them. They all get taken from the holding chamber that they're in, and they are now moved with the older ancestor into the greater realm with all of the other ones, waiting for the chance to be reborn and to continue the legacy, whether it's through you or other people in your family. Okay. After ancestralization is where you get to actually embody the gifts. This means that any ancestor, whatever their gifts might be, they could be great with money, great with strategy, great with voyaging the lands, great with people, great with caring, great with nurturing, whatever the gifts are in your family, you can now ask for guidance, whether they come through your dreams, whether you just get a thought at the beach, whether you already know you're a great writer and you're now like, y'all, channel your creativity through me. And here you go, channeling a whole book. It happens, right? That's when you get to embody the change and be it in the world. So these are the four main steps that I do and I guide people through with ancestral healing. A lot of other people go from awareness to trying to embody. There's no healing. They become aware of something, they make a connection. They're like, hey, grandma, come through and help me with this thing. There's no healing going on. So you got grandma coming through being like, yeah, I can help you. I also don't like men. So if you're going to write a book around relationships, I don't know about that. Great book, but your life hasn't actually shifted. You can't embody the change that you're leading or wanting to see in the world, which is a continual process. So let me know if that makes sense because I basically just gave y'all the whole rundown, but I'm going to break it down even more and we're going to go through a little bit of an analysis to see where you and your people are. Yeah, I'll do another one. Let me know. Awesome. Why does my writing process? Word. Yeah, I hear that. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, cool. So let's get further into it. Most of us are here because we're looking for personal freedom. We're trying to get unstuck. We feel uncertain. We're questioning ourselves. We're looking at the state of the world and we're like, yo, this culture, the society, these systems, I don't like the toxicity of capitalism, but I do like making my own money. I do like being able to set my own prices. Stuff needs to change. But essentially, you're trying to have an energy transformation. You're trying to move from, I feel like this, whatever this is, to moving like that. And I keep it open because basically, to me, ancestral healing and the personal development to embody it is it's literally pick your own adventure. Whatever's going on in your life has something to do with some ancestors, as far as I'm concerned, because you learned and you inherited energy and thoughts and ideas. So if there's whatever's going on in your life, like just take a moment to think of that because you know it, I don't. Whatever's going on in your life, it has something to do with your ancestors and it can be dealt with in a way that it's full and whole and juicy and loving. And you're like, really? All the time I thought it was me. I was beating myself up. I was like angry or sad or frustrated. And it wasn't just me, it was y'all. And that's okay. There's no need to like be angry at ancestors. A lot of times people are afraid of like the shame or the guilt or all the stuff my ancestors went through. And it's like there's a whole lot of love in there too. We just actually need to have them rest and be well so that they can enjoy themselves and they can help you. So let's keep it going because there's so much I have to say. I do think it's a time right now to embrace our ancestral past and to heal them so that we can really forge new futures moving forward. And I deeply believe that. And I think we can see that because number one, technology is speeding up. Number two, so many people are becoming healers and coaches. Everyone's like, listen, if I can't have work-life balance, if I don't have a deeper purpose and get my needs met, this is a no for me. You know, we are tired of choosing between the two your wellness, whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional, mental wellness, and surviving. And the only way to do that is to, again, heal the ancestors because over and over and over again, we've seen that surviving pits us against each other. It's you versus me, feast or famine, black or white, whatever class that you're on, there is enough for everyone. But we have forgotten that because we're not honoring the seasons of death, life, and rebirth. Ancestral healing allows you to remember that. In the moment when things are challenging, which I just wrote about this in an email, if y'all haven't gotten already, probably is coming out. I'm not sure. I write them, team sends them in. But the point is, ancestral healing allows you to look at the seasons of your life. There is a time for planting seeds, tending to them, harvesting them, resting, burning it all down, and repeating again. And every time that capitalism or this Western world tries to tell us that we're not supposed to do that, and that is go, go, go all the time, we get imbalanced. It makes us literally come out of balance and we're like, who am I and what the fuck am I doing? Right? Tell me if I'm right or if I'm right. Like, is it resonating? Word. I see it exactly. Yep. Yep. I know the feeling too. I know the feeling too. Cause just because I'm doing this doesn't mean I don't know it, which is another thing I want to highlight. I'm sharing this stuff with y'all because this is what I live. I tend to myself, my ancestors, my business, my community over and over and over again. So it is a practice, which is what I was talking about recently. This is not about steps to fix anything. This is about lifestyle shift. I now have skills. I remember I am responsible for doing this thing, and they now show up for me, your ancestors. Okay. So we're going to go into all the good things that are talked about in the email, but it's a lot to say. So let's just keep it going. There's a lot of things to cover. Yeah. And make sure y'all drop into the chat specific questions that come up, and I'll make sure that I come back to them, or you can hold them all to the very end. If you don't know me, let me not be totally rude and assume that all of you know me because you're getting my emails or you got on my list or you saw me somewhere. But yes, I'm an ancestral healer. I'm a conscious business strategist. I used to have an advertising and brand strategy market research career. I worked for all the big brands, Google, Bacardi, Unilever, Sephora. I'm trying to think of some more. I did a lot of stuff for Miller Coors and Jim Beam, where I would literally study human behavior and create the insights, the consumer insights that would create brand strategies, which then will become a commercial or a campaign, right? So marketing, business is my background, but I've always been into psychology. I have been a spiritualist my whole life. I've been connected to ancestors my whole life. Dreams, premonitions, messages would come through as a kid, and my parents would be like, how do you know that? And I pushed that stuff away in my teen years. I came back to it in my 20s. I walked away from my career in 2012 and have done a combination of being a spiritual entrepreneur, running wellness retreats, and helping people to build conscious healing and spiritual businesses online. So I am a certified life coach too, because what I see is, again, what's happening in your real life, in your regular life, with your ancestors, what you've inherited, what you believe affects how you do business. And we know that, especially living in the United States, businesses impact politics. They play into power and class and control and all the things. So to me, there's no separation between how you're learning to survive or thrive and the impact you have in the world. Who you are and how you show up to live and how you're generous or not in that business with other people. I think the more that we heal ourselves, the more that we can show up and have great impact in the world. Yeah. So I am devoted to doing something new in the world, but it's not new. It's that my livelihood and the way that I show up are interconnected, not just getting the money, not just having the looks and the accolades, but what is my soul and my spirit saying? Is it aligned to my actual calling? I have a big mission. It is to help as many people as possible heal, continue healing, remember their ancestry, and build a conscious business. That's literally it. Otherwise, hurt people will continue to hurt people. And we know that based on what we've been experiencing in this world recently. And I don't need to bring those things up. We all know what's happening. It's a changing of times, and we're all feeling it and also feeling the potential of what is coming, I think. So you probably have the question of what is ancestral healing? As I said, y'all are going to get the Lay of the Lands book. But in short, I do think it is a belief that ancestors have an impact on our current live life, that we've inherited many different things from people who came before us that is both helping us and hindering us, which we want to clear out the hindering and have more helping. I think that it's a practice. I think it's a process. I also think that it's a lifestyle of honoring the people who came before you so you can stand in your truth and also create a beautiful legacy of living, loving, belonging, and mainly freedom that you can choose to pivot your life to reflect your highest good and those around you. So I think that, in West African tradition, we say that Sankofa, you have to go back in order to go forward. And that's the antithesis of our culture here in the States. In Western society, it's like, just keep going, cover your eyes, keep going. When you do need to come down sometimes and break things down, simplify, come back to your values, your roots, and there you get exponential growth and huge impact, right? So there's lots of things, as you can imagine, of what ancestral healing can do for you. And basically, this is repeating of energies between yourself, your family, culture. Culture, as much as people want to talk about all these documentaries, what's happening in society, how we're so consumers, how we're narcissists, we're just on tech, 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 consume, 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 take, all these things. But culture is created by people, and people belong to families, and families die and get reborn again. This is a cycle. So the only way we can stop the cycle is one, be the change ourselves, but go back and find the original root and wound. Otherwise, we're just kind of putting a blanket over the shit and trying to walk over it like, oh, this is a nice rug and rub our feet on it. There comes a point where you have to be the change. And that can be very practical as far as like being different in your family. And it can also be very spiritual of saying, hey, everyone in our lineage who suffered from this, it's time to let this shit go. I'm not the only one. And I'm not going to be pushing and prodding and feeling like I'm walking through quicksand when y'all can really support me. Do you want to see us thrive? Do we want to let go of our fears of visibility or speaking our truth or being different or our fear of being abundant because we lost it all before? Whatever it might be, are we ready to heal this as a unit? When we work in systems, bigger impact happens. When we're looking at individuals, we are tiptoeing down the line. And there's a proverb around that. It's like, if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone, right? If you want to go far, go with many. Same thing here. Get the ancestors, get your spirits, get your community together. Let's go far. Let's have lasting impact as opposed to just with yourself. So I want to give a couple examples, which I probably should have wrote them in here, and I'll share some testimonials later on. But I've had clients who, one, could not be accepted in their family. Why? Because they were other gender. They were transgender. One just was non-binary in general. They were just like, I'm non-binary. I am a human, and that's it. I've said this since I don't know how long. They will not call me the name that I want to be called. And it's because they had a family wound around sexuality. They really did. And once we got into the ancestral healing and started working with the ancestors, lo and behold, this person who was estranged from their family is now getting random phone calls, random text messages, random birthday cards being like, we're sorry, we love you, things are shifting, I'll call you by the name you want to be called by. And they were like, Ash, this has to only be the ancestors. There's been so many times I've been alone and not accepted by my family. Thank you for this, right? That's one example. It's one of my favorite ones. Another one is someone who is very, very successful. I mean, incredibly successful, does great diversity, equity, and strategy, inclusion strategy work for major brands. And yet all this impact, all this visibility, a great book on New York Times bestseller, and are struggling in their personal life relating to vulnerability and not compatibility. I would say compatibility, but companionship and love. And once we got into it, they're like, everyone thinks my world is perfect, but I'm lonely and I work so much. My whole identity is in that. I want to be able to rest in the arms of a man, right? This person's heterosexual. And once we got into the ancestral healing, that person was now empowered to actually go out and start dating. For men that they had dated before who said they were too harsh, they were a strong Black woman, that they could not do this, and that with them because they were always overpowering or out of control or wouldn't be able to trust them, were like, you are so soft, but still in your power. You are a queen. What can I date you again? I'm so sorry about how things ended before instantly. And this is someone who said, I don't believe that this can work. I just got a recommendation from you, and that person told me what happened in their life. So I'm willing to give it a shot. But I've done therapy, I've had a relationship coach, I've paid thousands for things. We got in there and saw the root wound in her lineages and was like, let's get into that. And then the ancestors came through and said, this is what we need you to do as we clean up the energy in the lineage. And here she is now dating and taking care of herself and looking incredibly awesome. So I look forward to writing up that case study because it's probably one of my most pride ones. Like the other one's my favorite because it was so loving. I love unity stories. And anytime I see any family members like unifying and like, those stories of like my long lost brother, like that one is one of my favorites. But this one gives me pride. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. We need. I'll tell more stories as we go because we got a lot of things to cover. But to me, this work is magical. I know the shifts that can happen in your life in general. I never know what is exactly going to happen in someone's life because that's a journey between you and your ancestors. I know that people didn't trust themselves and now they have confidence. They kept seeing that they were preparing for lack and struggle instead of the potential of all of their possibilities coming true and their dreams coming true. Like those type of soft shifts are so powerful because you have them forever. It's not about just ticking the box and I made 10K in a month. It's I trust myself that even when I'm not making money, it's coming. And when it comes, I knew it was coming and I'm excited, right? These are the gifts that I want to be able to keep giving to people or helping people connect with through ancestral healing and personal development. So let me know if all of that makes sense. If you're like, holy shit, I could send a lot of different examples of the work, which I will at the very end, but I want to be able to share more with y'all. Okay. So, some of the biggest wounds I see healing is again self doubt, lack of trust, fear of belonging, blocks in abundance. Someone coming from a wealthy family, losing all of their wealth, and then they struggled for a lot, and now they feel like they're overworking to make money. What are some of the other ones that are the most popular? But yeah, belonging, feeling like you never are at home because your ancestors missed their native lands. So, always shifting homes, you'll buy a home, you're never satisfied with home or feel like you have roots into the ground. It's something that's common. Okay. So let's talk about overcoming your ancestral fears because I know for a fact that, as I said at the beginning of this, that people have some big fears around this. It's like, who am I talking to? Can I do this? Is it possible? Let's just debunk those for a moment. First off, before I even get into this, um, I haven't had anyone not be able to connect with ancestors yet. And I have definitely worked with hundreds of people. I don't count the number of people I work with anymore, but I have worked with a lot of folks. And I have yet to have anyone that's like, I have no ancestors. That does not mean when you first tune into the lineages and you choose which one of your main four ones, right? Which one you're going to work with. It doesn't mean that when you tune in, you're like, I don't see anything but gray. It's quiet. I see one time a client was like, I see what's that, tumbleweeds going by. I'm like, it's okay, don't worry. They're just quiet and desolate. We're gonna have to call them in. It's gonna take a little time, but you will connect. Okay. So that's number one. You will connect. You don't, even if you don't work with me, you can connect to your people. If you sat down and went through a deep meditation and slowed down your breath and allowed yourself to open up to the ancestral realm, you will have someone come through. Okay. So that's number one. I just want to debunk that because I don't think I talked about that in the slide. But first thing is whatever your fears are, whether it's I'm opening up Pandora's box, I won't make connection, I'm unworthy, I'm afraid of what I'm going to find out, it's going to be overwhelming, I'm going to have to grieve all my ancestors' pains, which is not what this work is about. Okay. Number one, it's not about that. You have to accept your role and your position to do this work. You would not be interested in ancestral healing if you were not called to do it, meaning that every lineage, every generation has a responsibility, right? If we look at baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, right? We all are something we are known for. You, right now at this time, doesn't matter what generation you belong to, the fact that you are interested in ancestral healing, you are noticing that there's reoccurring patterns in your life that also have been in other family members means that you are part of the group of people who are being called back to this work, who are being called back to reclaim, to be called back to remember. No one else in your family is because they haven't done it yet. And I'll tell you a personal story. My mom, when I was really starting to talk about this, she was like, and she's Christian. She was like, oh, no, what are you talking about? The more that I spoke up and continue speaking up, the more that I share what happens in my life and with my clients, she's like, oh, yeah, I remember us. My grandmother used to do that. And, I did your meditation the other day and it was really interesting. I had a dream. Now she's like tiptoeing around. Oh yeah, I used to have dreams too and have these visions, but I never told anybody. And it sure enough, it would always happen. And I was like, damn it, Donna, you let me go my whole 34 years of life thinking I was not that long, but my whole 34 years of being alone in this, when lo and behold, we've all had a gift of this, but it was me saying yes, stepping up to the plate, being visible in it, speaking my truth that allowed me to step into the healing, not just for myself, but also for my mom and for my family. So I would say, again, if you're interested in this work, which you are, because you're here or you're watching the replay, this is for you. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you never work with me. I'm grateful to be a seed that supported you in exploring this work in whatever way most aligns with you and your family and your calling. But you do have the authority to do this, hands down, right? Your conviction, your trust in yourself, you're called to be like, I'm going to get to the root of this and I'm going to have ancestral support and family pride again, or whatever it might be. I'm going to do it. Root into that. It will serve you so much in the world of mysticism and spirituality and magic and stuff. Your word, your intention, your energy is the number one thing that activates whatever spell or whatever you're trying to do. So don't forget that. You literally universal law, even when it comes to this work, right? Accept and trust your role and your position to do this work. It'll help quiet your mind. Number two, a lot of people are afraid of like, is it them or is it me? Is it even ancestors? Is it another spirit? Like, I don't even know who and what. I'm overthinking. My head is overheating. And I'm like, calm down. This work will require you, in the very practice of it, will require you to reconnect to your intuition and your ability to trust yourself. It will slow you down so you notice the subtleties and the nuance in everyday life so that you are ahead of whatever is going to come. You have to get quiet. You have to be right until you get used to connecting with them and you're used to your ancestors being around. And then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I just know. I have a knowing. I can feel it. I notice their signs when they're trying to talk to me or whatever it might be. But in order to get to there, you have to take your time to reconnect to your intuition, trust yourself, and reactivate your spiritual abilities. And that will help you overcome your fear. So number one, trust who you are, that you are called to do this. Number two, trust in your intuition. Trust that you have a knowing sense. I don't care if it's touch, if it's claircognizant, clairsentient, you can feel things. Doesn't matter whatever the gift is. You have some way that your intuition speaks to you. That will help you because you'll be able to discern what is me, what is the ancestors, what is something else, when are they talking to me? Okay. Lastly is sometimes people think they're going to get swooped up into some things that is not for them. Like, how do I know that that practice is mine? Or I'm going to be stealing from some other person's culture and all of these things. That's why I'm supplying Lay of the Land's book, because it'll give you, again, 8 different ways that you can start to explore ancestral healing, even if it's not in this particular modality that I'm going to take you through in a moment. But in that, you will be able to devote time and space to explore the various ways that speak to you, right? At the end of the day, all of our people across this universe, not universe, this globe, this earth, we're all animistic, I should say, animistic, meaning that they worked with the earth, air, water, fire, and the energy of nature, right? And all the little nature spirits in order to connect with spirit, connect to the divine, heal, grow, have premonitions, whatever it might be. And so, whenever you're worried about cultural stuff and what is mine, or can I do it, or is this beyond my ability, just come back to the basics of I use water to cleanse, fire to breathe, not breathe, fire to activate, air to breathe and settle, or to send a message. Like, come back to the basics of what magical, divine entities and forces that are universal to all of us. If you feel a call to the mountains, be in the mountains, go to the mountains, and then talk to your ancestors and see what happens. For me, I'm water people. I walk with water spirits. I have dolphins, whales, ancestors in the waters. Like, I need to be at the ocean. I can't live in the desert. I go out there for just a little brief moment and then I got to come back. I'm totally tropical and about the sea life. So whenever you can identify what are the things that work from you, then you want to start to play with them. And this is the part, if you watch my Instagram stories recently, I was saying everyone says they want the how to's, 3 steps to, whatever your ancestors, which my team is writing those kind of things because it's helpful for people's brain. But at the end of the day, you have to practice and see what resonates for you. So I'm going to invite you to not be afraid. This will be a journey. I will obviously share the things that I know and what I'm sensing with you and with your people. But at the end of the day, this is something that when you keep practicing it, it's yours. No one can take you away from that magic, that spirit, and that connection to your people whenever you need it. And that's a gift that keeps on giving, if you ask me. Okay. So that's stuff around fears. Let me know how we're doing here. If y'all are all with me, or you're like, okay, Ash, let's get on with it now. Let me know. Cool. You're with me. Great, great, great. Delicious. Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. So we talked about the 4 phases and things that happen inside of ancestral healing at the very beginning of this call. But I want to take you into the full thing. And this is where you want to get your notes out, okay? Because this is literally the process, not steps, not tactics, not checkpoints, but process that you will cyclically do and make your own over and over and over again when you feel stuck, when you feel stagnant, when you're doubtful, when you feel alone, when you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And what is my life? And how am I going to get out of this situation? This is it. When you are like, what is my purpose? Did I veer off a path? Use this. Again, make it your own, but use this. And it's really what I call the 6 paths to freedom. So, what I see over and over again is we get stuck on ourselves, who we've been trained and taught to be. We don't know who we truly are. There's self mastery is a lifestyle, right? All these different books from Eckhart Tolle and all these people that talk about self mastery is something that you practice. So, getting freedom within yourself is one of the paths. Freedom from your family, being able to belong and be different is important. Number 2. Number 3 is freedom from your culture. There's so many cultural identities that we belong to and society and the world has put on us that we behave a certain way in conjunction to those groups, right? So me as a woman, as a Black woman, as a Western person, as an educated person, as a high, like all these titles and identities that we put on, we have to get free of that over and over and over again to really be in our freedom and to walk our path. We got to have freedom to practice. What are the tools, gifts, rituals, routines that you do that bring energy into your body, that bring energy into your mind, that hold you down on the ground, but open you up to the possibilities of your life? You can Google those. You can follow anybody on Instagram to find things, but then you will have to practice them and make them your own. Some of them can be given to you directly from your ancestors, and then you know that they are absolutely for you. Some of them can come from your higher self. If you sit down and connect with your higher self, they're perfectly for you. Some of them come directly from your inner child or the parts of yourself from the inside, and they're absolutely for you, right? Because they help heal the first one that I talked about relative to freedom from yourself. Okay. So I'm going to go through the last 2 as we get further into this, but 6 paths to freedom. These are the paths I think we have to continually walk in order to be free. And the way that I broke this down is in this kind of design situation. Here are the paths. Number 1 is space. Number 2 is trust. Number 3 is initiation. Number 4 is submit. Number 5 is not clarity. I've renamed it to action. Okay. And then number 6 is rest. Right. So I talk about the things that are happening, you're getting freedom from, which there's 6 of them, but the framework for you to live it, it's easier to digest in this way. Reason being is there is an overlap of culture, family, yourself, practices, business, all that stuff starts to get jumbled. So I organize it in this way, and I think it's a little bit easier to live it. So I always start with space. In this, it is the moment to come back to who you truly are. Before family, before conformity, before being institutionalized through education, before society told you who you had parts of yourselves that were uniquely you from a kid, right? There are parts of you that remembered a dream, has a desire, has something that is here to bring in the world, right? And any personal development program, process, coach, they're always going to bring you back to yourself at the beginning. So this part you might have done in some way, shape, or form. I do teach it a little bit differently though. So taking space. This is actually not super groundbreaking either, because if you notice, whenever you get stressed or frustrated or lost, the first thing you go to do is like, I need a vacation. I need to take a break from social media. I need to limit who I'm talking to. I need some space for myself. We know how to take space for ourselves. So I just facilitate this part to help you connect to your core truth, your core desires, the thing that's been pushed to the wayside because, again, society, family, money, business, whatever, work, whatever. From there, though, we usually get clarity. We usually get super excited. We took space, we got reprieve, we ate good food, we got loved on, we saw some of the world, or something happened where we got some reprieve and we get some ideas. We get clarity about what we want to do, and we normally jump right to action down here. But what happens is we do not develop trust in ourselves. We certainly do not initiate, which is really important, because when we don't trust ourselves, as soon as we go out in the world, society, culture, our family, our peers, the workforce, everyone is like, who do you think you are? Do you really know what you're talking about? Who'd you learn that from? Prove it. Give me the facts. And you're like, ooh, 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 ooh. You're like constantly getting beaten. That makes you get afraid. And then what do? You no longer have all this space. You start to constrict and close down. So this whole process, if you notice, is consistent because once you have space, you do need to practice trusting it. After you trust yourself and you root it into yourself, now we need to debunk all the things in the world that tells you that you cannot do that. We need to extract your truth and show you that you can be different and belong. And when you do this, now you can lead. You can lead yourself and you can lead others. These two are super important and mostly skipped over. After initiation, we don't go straight to action either. We have to submit. We have to wait and let our spirits, whether it's our higher spirit, our ancestors, our guiding spirits, our familiar animals, whatever, your fairies, whatever it is, just rest for a moment and see if they have additional pieces of information that can help you as you step into your path of freedom. So there's a pause, because here's the thing. If you initiate, then you're all in your own power. You're like, I know what I want. I trust myself. I can now walk amongst everyone who thinks negatively of me and still hold my head high and give my speech or stand up on a stage or put out my artwork or speak my truth. Cool. But you have left out spirit. You've left out spirit. And we can only go so far only in our own minds and our own effort and our own will. There is universe, there is spirit, there is just that magic that allows your desires and your things to come to you. Let's pause for a moment and see if there's more information. This is another space of being resourced, right? Then once you do that, let's go into action. What are the practices and the energies that pour into you to help you be sustained and focused, right? What's the strategy you're going to be implementing or taking action on that is from your dreams and desires that you came up with, or that you remembered, I should say. And then how do you build from there? What does the phase out plan look like? Who needs to be involved? How do you talk about this to the world in a way that they will understand what your calling is and how you can help and serve, right? Or what you want to do. And then finally, after you take that kind of action for a minute, you need to actually build in rest, to pause, to let it all marinate, to essentially harvest. This is the moment of like, all right, I've harvested and now winter is coming. So let me eat this food, right? Let me pick the things that is great and let me just settle for a moment. This is important not just for self-care and self-love. It's important because if you're, again, always efforting, you will burn out. You have to actually know when to conjure and take action and when to allow and chill. That's energy management as a whole. And once you rest for a while and you're taken care of and you've enjoyed the fruits of some labor, you normally go into another space of pause and rest, or not rest, but pause and space, reconnect with a deeper part of this dream or a next level of this thing, and go through the cycle over and over and over again. If y'all are following me on Instagram, you might have seen that I just took some space. I was just in Vegas. I took some days. I was like, listen, this business is asking something of me, and I don't know what it is quite yet. How am I going to continue to serve in the way that I know with the medicines that I carry, and also stay true to myself? What's happening here? And I was like, okay, we're done. Stop thinking. Go take some space. Go be with yourself. Let's see what downloads into you. And now I'm stepping into trust. Yeah. So these are the 6 steps: taking space, trusting yourself, going through initiation, submitting, taking action, having rest. Repeat. Now, there's things that we do in each one of these areas, mainly space, initiation, and action. Remembering the dreams, reforming yourselves, activating your desires are all 3 processes. Forgiving and reconciling is not about giving people a pass for doing wrong to you, whether you were a child or whether you're an adult right now. Someone does you wrong, that's just not cool. And staying in the energy is going to keep you clogged up and not walking in your path of freedom. So, what needs to be released and reconciled or shifted energetically so you can actually extract what you need from that situation and keep it moving and leave that person or that situation in the dust. Okay. How to deprogram your belongings. Again, our cultural identities keep us stuck and wanting to relate and being seen and loved on instead of walking in our true path that attracts people who are like, yes, we need that medicine. Yes, we need that love. Yes, no one ever said it like that. But if you want to keep conforming, you'll never step out and do that. So deprogram your belonging. You can still belong even when you're different. And then finally, the part that we talked about at the beginning, healing and repairing your lineages. This is when you connect to ancestors. This is when you do the lineage healing. This is when you get their blessings. Because if you forgive situations and reconcile it and transmute the energy, if you're like, you know what? I know what they say about white women. I know what they say about Black women. I know what they say about mixed people. I don't have time for this. This is what I'm here for. This is what I represent, or those are just examples off the top of my head. This is where we get hung up because our own family and our family wounds will still make us hunch down a little bit. And we have to be able to say, you know what, mom, brother, cousin, fam, this is what I'm going to do. I love y'all. I belong. Ancestors have my back. Let's clean up this wound relating to vulnerability or speaking our truth. And let's go forward. I need y'all behind me to support me. Right? These 3 things help you initiate and get the strength and the conviction and the authority to step into the action of clarity. Yeah. Awesome, Lisa. I'm glad that's helpful. So this is my framework. This is how I'm working. It is copyrighted. It is trademarked. So give respect, give a screenshot, share it out in the world and tag me in it if you want to. But if you are like, yo, what is something that I can do over and over again that touches my personal development and my authority and also my ancestors and really, because some of us do, we all come from some ancestors of some lineages that's pretty, like humans be humaning. We're trying to evolve humanity, right? Our monkey brains, if you will. This is it. So I want y'all to get your pen and papers, give another page, a fresh page. I'm sure you've already written down these steps, yeah, or these parts. It's not really steps; they're phases. You could be in space for 2 months, 2 weeks, 1 year. I don't know, 1 hour. Just depends. But I want us to go through a little evaluation because based on this framework and this continual process that you can, again, make your own, I want you to see where you are. So if y'all are ready, we're going to do a little evaluation. Number 1, for space. On a scale of 0 to 5, 0 meaning not good, 5 being excellent, knocked it out the park, answer these 3 questions and basically rate each question. So if you're taking space, I want to know essentially how well do you know who you are? How well do you know what you're here to do? How well do you know how you define yourself? Basically, how well do you know yourself? How well are you living your dreams of your childhood? 0 to 5. 0, absolutely not. 5, definitely. I'm in my calling. I'm happy. This is definitely what I dreamed of. 0 to 5. Next question, how happy is your inner child? There's many inner children, but we'll just keep it simple for now and just say, how happy is your inner child? 0, completely having a temper tantrum. Number 5, like walking on sunshine with rainbows and unicorns and rocks and dinosaurs and stuff. I don't know. And number 3, I know exactly what I desire and I definitely honor my dreams, meaning that you give yourself permission to have your dreams and your desires. You know that you are worthy. 0, absolutely not. I don't even know what I desire. I don't know what I want right now, and that's okay. No judgment. Number 5, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I'm desiring, what I'm pulling or calling into my life. And then when you get a moment, I want you to add those up and drop your number in the chat. Write space and then drop your number. No judgment, all right? A safe space. Because I'm going to share with y'all, I took my own evaluation earlier today with red on this paper. I'm going to share it with y'all. Okay. This is community for space. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. I'll put mine in here too in the chat. For me, I got space. I got 7. Okay, cool. Next one. Trust. How well do you recognize your intuition? How do you know the difference between fear and insight? When do you take action when it doesn't even make sense? So, on a scale of 0 to 5, number 1 question, I know exactly when my spirit or the spirit speak to me. 0, no idea. Is that the wind? What is this? 5, yes, I talk to them all the time. No problem. I know my spirit. I know how spirit speaks to me. Question number 2, I know how to quiet my mind and trust my heart. When I have monkey brain, I have a practice, I have a meditation. I know how to get this amazing thing under control so it don't wreck my life. 0, it runs the show. I have no idea, and I get support in doing so. Again, no shame. I'm all about mental health and mental wellness. And then 5, again, yeah, I know exactly what to do. Yeah. Next one, I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy, and I act accordingly, meaning you trust and have boundaries. 0, what are you talking about? Energy is energy. 3, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. 5, absolutely hard boundaries. I will just walk away from a conversation if the energy isn't right. I trust myself, I trust other people. All is good and well. When you're ready, drop your total out of 15. I'll put mine. For me earlier today, trust was 10. All right. We're waiting for one more, I think. Maybe. There we go. I think we're waiting for another one. We'll wait for you. We'll wait for you. Unless you're like driving or something. Awesome. What's up? Okay, great, great, great. No person left behind. Okay, next one. Initiation. What are your ancestral agreements? What role do you play in your family and your lineages? What purpose are you here to fulfill? What ancestral burdens need clearing with the ancestors and within me? You know the ancestral blessings that need to be released and reclaimed so you can have a positive impact. You know how to belong and your difference. You know how to stand up in a crowd, all those kinds of things. Initiation, right? When you're initiated, you're moving from one state with one group of people into another state where you stand alone or with very few. Okay. So on a scale of 0 to 5, First question, I know how and when to speak up about the things that are harmful in the world, whatever you define that as. 0 is I never speak up. I'm gonna let somebody else do that work. Nah, I'm good. I know it's wrong, but I'm gonna wait. 5 is you can't shut me up. I got a soapbox. I got a magazine. People know that I am for the people. I will speak up for you. What's your number? Number 2, I'm okay with standing by myself about a topic I'm passionate about with my family of origin. When it's Thanksgiving dinner and someone says something about anything, it could be about the will, it could be about politics, it could be around cultural, social justice uprisings, it could be around child uprearing. Do you know how to just stand in your truth? Not that your truth is everyone's truth, but will you and can you do that? Last question. I know as above, so below. What's within is also without, and I live accordingly, meaning you know how to take responsibility for yourself. You know that how you are showing up and what you think is reflected outside, and also what's outside is also in you. So there's a relationship to personal healing and changing the world, looking at the times and coming back and being like, that's wrong out there. Is there any parts of that happening within myself? So I didn't answer that one. For me, this one hit home recently because I was still healing from sisterhood stuff. I was like, yo, where are my friends? Like, this is cool. And I was like, wait a minute. There's probably times where I haven't showed up for a woman the way that I should have. How am I treating other women? Yeah. Initiation, we have 12. Cool. I'm going to write mine down too. Cool, cool. All right. Okay. Next one. Submit. In what ways do you commune with your spirits and ancestors? How do you discern between yourself and your spirits? First question, I know when I need to rest and have faith and wait on the universe. 0 to 5. I'm really good at taking action to help manifest what's best for everyone involved. 0 to 5. My healing isn't just about me, it's also for others, my ancestors, my neighbors, my strangers too, the strangers too. I know when to center and to decenter myself and how to act on behalf of the collective. Submit, I got a 10. Take a little bit of water while we wait for some more toasts here. If you had a dream that said quit everything and go to another city, would you be like, I got to do that? Or would you be like, I know I've been praying for an opportunity, but that's not exactly how I was thinking of it. That happened to me once. I was living in Bali and I was like, all right, I'm ready for change, but I don't want to leave Bali. So like I'm down for doing like a split something or something like that. And Spirit was like, no, you're going to go to Australia. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense because then I can like split between Bali and Australia. It's only a short flight. I can do that. Yeah, no, they only took me to Australia just to bring me to the States because they know I wouldn't have flown directly from Bali back to America. No way. Like, so it was a transitionary thing. And I had to listen. And they were like, just do this. And I was like, really? And they said, didn't you say you want a community? Didn't you say you wanted roots? Didn't you say you're kind of ready for relationship and stuff? It's not in Bali, honey. It's over here. And I was like, damn. I did ask. I got to submit to this. I got to follow, and I don't even know what's about to happen. Okay. Clarity, which is action. What are you here to build, and how are you meant to live in respect and to honor your lineages and also be different so you can be the change, right? Sorry for all the typos, y'all. So question number 1, if you, right, were on the top of a mountain and everyone could hear you, you would know exactly what message you had to say to the whole wide world. Do you have that kind of action, that kind of clarity? Can you take that kind of action? 0 to 5. 0, I have no idea what I would say. 5 is hands down. I have one sentence. I know exactly what I'm here to tell the world. And I can break that down into 3 more messages, and I can break that down into 6 more messages, and break that down into a whole bunch of other things. But the one thing I know, yeah. Next one, I live by my values and know the power of context and nuance. Full stop. Nothing is black and white. We do live in the gray. There's a moment to stand strong in values. There's a moment to meet people where they are. 0 to 5. And last question, I have developed my own spiritual practices and rituals of well-being that support me in living my best life and being the change. 0, I Google all of them. I have no idea. I got this one from this person, this one from this person. I saw this online. 5 is yes. I don't even remember where these came from. They're completely mine. And I'm continually allowing new ones to come to me because I'm in practice. Yeah. So for action, drop your answers. I had a 9 when I did it this morning. And your answers can change, y'all. This is just for right now. Okay, last space, rest. How well are you honoring your periods of rest? Remember those seasons that all our ancestors knew? Planting seeds, tending, harvesting, and then resting. Yeah. 0 to 5. If you were to look over this last week, how well did you take care of yourself? Not just your physical appearance, but your mental appearance, your spiritual appearance, right? Your emotional appearance. How well did you take care of yourself? 0, no self-care, can't remember. 5, on it, daily practice. Number 2, I practice self-care in a way that feeds my soul, not just contributes to wellness capitalism. Even though I love a good candle, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I got candles on subscription. But can you practice self-care in a way that truly fills your spirit up? One time I really wasn't doing well and I didn't understand why. I'm like, the business is great. I'm definitely helping people. I feel like I'm in my purpose. Like, what is it? And they were like, you're doing so much out care, out care, out care. You're not doing enough pulling in care, pulling in care. What good energies are really feeling your spirit edge? Like really feeling you up, filling. And I was like, wow, I didn't even notice, y'all. Light bulb moment. Last one, I can identify when I'm over efforting and it's time to allow the fruit of my labor to manifest. So, something that happens in our world as Western people with businesses and jobs, it's like more and more and more and more and more. Last year, I hit my revenue goals in this healing business in August. It was either August or September. Anyone else would have said, great, go for the surplus. I was like, hell no. I need to rest. I need to reflect. I need to pivot. If y'all remember, if you've been on my email list, you know that I have a wait list that goes up right around that time for the next year. And at that time, when I had extra energy, I just did discounted sessions. I was like, hey, I got time. Is anyone's around? Jump in here, right? Or you work on creative projects. You don't have to do more, do more, do more. So do you realize when that's one example, but another one is you've done the things, right? You set the plan, you showed up. Now you need to allow. It's not going to always be like this. And the world will tell you that that's not true. So let me see what's going on with rest. What's our numbers here? This morning for me, it was an 11, which is awesome. But that's also because I'm a shot of a nice little short spaced vacation. Okay. So I want you to take a moment and look at which area did you score the highest. Put it in the chat. Where did you have the highest number closer to, whatever it was? If you add it up, space, trust, initiation, submit, clarity, and rest, or action and rest, which one was the highest number? For me, it was initiation. I can't type. Trust and initiation were tied. Initiation was the highest. Okay, so we got some real good. I will stand in my truth. I know what I'm here for, right? Okay, we got another one, submit, to being open to what spirit guides you. Okay, we got another one, or it's trust, really trusting in yourself. Awesome. But most of us, there's a lot of initiation, and then trust would be the next one. Okay, cool. This is great. It means that you do have a call to lead. It means that you do have a call to serve. You have a call to be different, and you have a unique point of view or a unique reason for being here. Superb, because those are the people that I enjoy supporting and working with. Um, and trust. Okay. Which one did you score the lowest on? Which one were you like, damn, I need to do some work. Yabba dabba. I think mine was space, which I could definitely use a little bit more of. I'm still in a little bit of a space process. Rest, space. Well, I don't count. I mean, I do, but for the sake of this moment right now, it's rest, trust, trust. Okay. So this tells me that we're over efforting, right? See if you have an insight. If you think about your life now, where you see where you were strongest and where you are not as strong, right? Or weakest, if you will, or could use some development, right? Think about what insights are coming to you about your own life. It sounds like there is a lot of, I will do it myself. I have to think through it instead of taking care of yourself, instead of taking actions that align with your simple actions, not big actions, not a whole lot of this, just beep beep, chill and allow yourself to be met. I'm going to just watch the chat for a moment to see if anyone wants to share any of their insights. Feel free to type anything in there. We're going to be wrapping up in just a few minutes. I think maybe another 20 minutes, maybe. Yeah. Lack of trusting intuition, listening and discerning boundaries is needed. Yeah. Word. Yep. My lowest is in trust because I know I still have some ancestral healing to do. Word. Trust is also, I'm glad you really pointed that out. Trust is definitely ancestral wounds, and they're also personal wounds. Remember, there's always the two. So we'll talk about, in this sense, trust and submit have a relationship. They both require vulnerability. Trust here in the sense of who I am and what I've got and what I'm capable of. I trust that. I know who I am. I know what I desire. I know that I have the will to really show up and harness that energetically. When you go through initiation, which is ancestral healing, then you can really submit and clear up some of the trust wounds that are in the lineage, the reasons why you might not trust yourself. So there's a difference between I don't trust myself and I don't trust others, right? Both of them can be ancestral wounds, but we have to approach them both personally and ancestrally. And I like to reiterate this because sometimes people will come to ancestral healing thinking that they don't have to embody the healing in their own life. We'll get to the healing in the lineage, and then you still have to practice trusting, which is a state of being more than anything in your own life in order to have it. I hope that makes sense, but I love talking about this and I'm glad you brought it up. Also, overthinking. Yeah, I feel you. Our brilliant minds. Taking all of the dissolving from the initiation phase and not being able to give it shape and stand in the truth and the trust. Yes, this one's a huge one. I'm so glad. I'm going to say this for all of them because they're just great. I repeat myself. But I noticed that those of us who are spiritually connected and we're doing our personal work, we tend to struggle with translating what is in spirit and what's part of our initiation and who we truly are into the physical world. And we're like, how does that look? What will it look like? But that means you actually need to come back to space so that you can trust yourself, like get to know yourself. I'm using the word trust, but get to know yourself more because that's where the how comes. That's where the taking form comes from. We'll run around the whole internet trying to find someone else's model and then fit it into our initiation or who we are or our dreams. When really, if we root into ourselves more, we'll be like, oh, based on who I am and who I walk with and what I feel and what I dream of, I could do it this way or I can try it this way. And let's test it out. Let's test it out. Let's test it out. Right. Oh no, I'm sorry you lost internet, but the recording will come out. So don't worry. Just look at the time so you can like fast forward and come back to the spot. But that part of how do I bridge what I know inside of myself or spiritually into this world is definitely it's a challenge. It's for sure it's a challenge. You just summed it up. I keep doing and searching, just believing I have to do it myself. Got it. Yeah, struggling from formless to form. Okay. Okay. I can't recognize when I'm over efforting, but I can't. But then, oh, sorry, I didn't read that right. I can recognize when I'm over efforting, but then I can't rest. Ah, I see. Okay, we got some good stuff to do or to work on them. So let's see here. If you are less than 30 points, what's the total out of 90? I think the 90 was everything. So if you add up all of your areas, space, trust, initiation, submit, action, and rest, what is your total? My total was 60 this morning. And this is just a little something, something just to look at. Help us look at information a little bit differently. Okay, we're in the 40s. We're kind of in the midway area. And I'm not a math whiz, so if you whipped out your not laptop, your phone to add it up, like no shame up in here, okay? Awesome. They're flowing in. I think there's a few more. If we add them all up. Okay, cool. So if we're less than 30, we definitely got to do some SOS. We need to like get into it. Personal development, ancestral healing, and then application. If you do personal development and ancestral healing and you don't apply it in your life, you're just like, what the hell? And I know that there's some people who do ancestral healing. They've been trained by some of the people that I've worked with, and they come to me because they're like, so now what do I do? My ancestors are healed. I'm feeling better. I have clarity, but I don't really know what to do. And I'm like, without the personal development, without the coaching stuff, and you really understanding who you are, you'll just be doing like this. So that's what I would say if you're under 30. None of you guys are, but for those on the replay, if you find yourself under 30, you need the both, right? Or all three, I would say ancestral healing, personal development, and then action steps, whether it's business, life, relationship. How are you applying what you discover in your real live life? 30 to 60, it's like, cool, you're perfectly in the halfway spot. It's time to reset. It's time to deepen and it's time to get new clarity. So, the way that I've always seen personal development, creating freedom, living in your truth, wellness, all that stuff, it's cyclical. It's not this linear thing at all. Healing is not linear. Becoming yourself is not linear. It's a circle. You constantly go over the same exact things, but you get deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's what you tell me. If you're in that middle zone, it's time to deepen. It's time to see yourself in a new way. It's time to connect to your ancestors in a new way. It's time for them to come in and support you in a way that you haven't ever experienced it before. And for you to actually start standing in your truth, walking in your leadership, trusting in your freedom and the freedom that you're creating and living, right? So that you can be part of the change. And then if you're over 60, this is about honing. You're like totally in your jam and you're like, okay, there's some tweaks I need to make. There's some little level up I need to make, but you know what? 60 on up, time to lean into it more, sharpen it. Maybe the strategies and the practices that you've been doing have you, but you need to intensify more. Maybe instead of doing your only in the morning, you need to be doing morning and evening, or you need to be building a team, or you need to be talking about some stuff that needs to happen in your family, or you need to be doing a little bit more work in the community, or you need to be allowing people to come in for you. Like there's something that's going to help you level up, but you're in your area of freedom, if you will. So for me, this morning, I just did it this morning. I'm at 60, and it's interesting because I'm rocking a little bit. I'm getting ready to shift some things a little bit. My team is changing a little bit. I'm like, okay, we're about to shift some stuff, but I'm in my zone of genius. Everyone here who's sitting in that 30 to 60, as I said, let's go deeper. Let me know if that makes sense in the chat, in the chitty chitty chat. Okay, we got some making sense. Totally resonates. Okie dokie. So the last thing before I talk about how we can potentially work together, if y'all are interested, is I want to show you something. A lot of us feel a calling in our families, and this is specifically around ancestral healing. We go from the calling, I talked about this, but I just want to illustrate it. We go from the calling directly to this integration and embodiment. I feel the call, I want to go and live it. But we're not aware of what's blocking us fully. We don't have the connection with the ancestors. We haven't alchemized them. The energy hasn't shifted, and they definitely haven't been elevated so we can call on any of them to support us. And that's what we do here, right? That's kind of what I take you through when we do ancestral healing work together. So these slides will all be in the replay. Essentially, awareness, you can get it from anywhere. People get awareness of ancestral stuff through therapy, yoga, coaching, wellness lifestyles, Reiki, like anything can show you awareness of the symptom, but it doesn't necessarily show you the awareness of the core wound, right? You get that by going directly to the ancestors. Once you get the awareness, then we've got to connect. A lot of times people will connect because they've gone through a medium or they had a near death experience. So an ancestor will come through. But what I specialize in is making an ancestor who's capable of healing the whole lineage and being a partner in your living and your healing and your living. That's a difference. It's not just give me the short-term answer. I need a system. I need someone who can do systems healing. There we go. Next up, as I told y'all, alchemization. This is when we shift the old energy to the new energy with the ancestors so you can then embody the blessings. And then finally, all those dead ones can go with the old elevated ancestor who's been working with you. So they're on the same level of goodness. And from there, you can start to integrate and embody, right? We're kind of missing those things. And that's why I do ancestral healing the way. So here's how we can deepen in the work, one in personal development and in ancestral healing for something that you want in your life. So I want to take a moment because at the beginning of this, I asked y'all to set an intention of what you desired in your life. I want you, if you're brave enough, to share it in the chat box. If you don't want everyone to see it, you can send it directly to me. But I do want to know a little bit of what you are desiring in your work. I want to know how many of you are interested in business, how many of you just want to feel good, to trust yourself, how much of it is something that's tangible, and how much of it is like intangible soft skills or soft development, if you will, which basically comes out in every aspect of your life, which is one of the feedback I get from my clients. They're always like, I came in wanting to build a business or wanting to trust myself to be a public speaker. This touched everything. It touched my relationships, the way I mother, the way I parent, like everything shifted in a good way. And I'm like, yeah, because that's relating. That's ancestors touch everything. So take a moment to just share with me what your desires are right now. I want to honor them, but it also allow me to finish what we're going to talk about. Okay. And for those on the replay, I want you to revisit it right now and then look way together through that lens. Hmm. We all have some big desires and some needs. This is great. Waiting for a few more. And while we do that, I just want to thank all of y'all for really being engaged in this, those who are on the replay, watching it through. It's an honor to be able to share space and it be so intimate. I'm grateful for that. Got it. Yep. Wow. These are beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Okay, awesome. Receive. Here's the two invitations, y'all. And you might have already gotten the emails about them, but I'm going to take a moment to talk about them. One is finding your freedom, right? Which really should be on the left. So, finding your freedom is the signature program. 3 times. This will be the 4th time I've ran it. And it takes you through exactly what you saw here. We're going through all of these things in a group format. The other option is Healing is Happening, and that is specifically for ancestral healing and questions or coaching around ancestral healing. You don't get the personal development. And let me tell you with you. If you know that, well, it's not exactly the best way to say it, but if you know that right now you just want to focus on ancestors and you will see how that healing work will vibrate through your life, Healing is Happening could be the option for you. You're ready to locally and work with me and be in a group place where you get the coaching and the support and the integration and the strategy and the ideation. But thanks, y'all. There's a storm coming and just annihilated the internet. I'm so glad that y'all are still here. Okay. Tell me the last place that I left off then, because I was like, hello, is this still working? Or is this thing on? It's so funny. Healing is happening for me. Okay, cool. Let me share the screen. Here we go. Okay. Um, so let me just pull up the chat so I can see it as we're chatting. Okay. Got it. So glad. Hopefully it doesn't happen. If it does, just hang tight and I will pop back on. But yes, so this is where you left off. So there's finding your freedom, there's healing is happening, which is also really great. If you know that you want to just be focusing on ancestral connection and healing, lineage healing, and then you will see how that will vibrate into your life and into your business or your desires, then start here. Nothing wrong with that. If you want the full experience of continual personal development, applying what the ancestors are saying to you, the ancestral healing, and applying it into your life with the coaching and the community support and the application and the strategy in your life, then finding your freedom is the way to go. Let me break down both of these and you'll see how it works together. First is finding your and red. The early bird is up right now until Thursday. So with that, you end up getting $200 off whether you pay in full or you do the payment plan. But the new cohort will probably have up to, I normally take up to 18 people, 14 people, somewhere around there, not more than that. Like I wouldn't do more than 18. 20 is too much. But essentially, it's 12 weeks where we're going through what I just walked you through in detail. How are you getting to know yourself more? How are you trusting yourself more? What are the dreams? Actually, what is the truth of your desires? How are they working together? What parts of yourself are stopping yourself? What parts of yourself are trying to help you? Because those give you the doors into what's happening with the ancestors. So we always start with self, then we move through trust, then we go into the initiation with the ancestors and the cultural into submission, messages, and then action. My mind, your weeks. There are 3 integration weeks built in, which the integration weeks are actually trust based. Okay. Those are the weeks where you'll have meditations or rituals or things to do just to receive and trust, receive and submit, receive and rest, right? Um, so it's not like it's 12 weeks of strenuous work, but there are 6 paths as we just went through. There's 12 modules of work. There's a private group space to connect where you can leave questions and get support, get whatever you need along the way. That's outside of our actual calls. And we do have weekly calls on the weeks that we have the module. So it ends up being 9 calls in total that are live. They're about an hour, hour and a half max, and I hold them on Tuesdays. They are recorded, so if you cannot join them, then you will be able to watch them afterwards, right? And then you would just come to the group space with any questions or ways that you want to be coached, or you can submit your questions and I will answer them on the recording to support you if you can't come to the group calls. Otherwise, in the group calls, I do hot seats and we do one-to-one coaching with everyone else. That's why I keep the groups intimate. There are worksheets, there's homework if you want to do them. If not, just listen to the video, do the activation to the calls, or watch the recording. So you can make it as in-depth as you want, or you can make it as simple as you want the first time you go through. Either way, you have the content to use over and over and over again and to make it. I will not stop emphasizing that. Go through it one time with me and then see make these skills or this ability um, your own. Okay. So full regular price is 2,500 or you pay 850. As I said, early bird, $200 off is till Thursday. And then after that, you guys will see open it up. I'll be talking about it with you, my gym list. Guys, emails up for finding your freedom before you were on the wait list or allow the connection. Are my back? I'm asking the spirits that be to hold the internet connection in the storms. Awesome. I am praying for them to hold it down for us. We're going to wrap it up. Okay. Now, what's dope is, as y'all know, we have finished up here. Am I back? Audio is back. Okay. Am I back? Am I back? Am I back? Come on. Hold it to me. Am I back? Okay, cool. So not only do you get the whole module of me guiding you through, you're dope. Okay, cool. Not only do you get the module of we have the questions and things inside of Finding Your Freedom, 1 month free inside of Healing is Happening. And then when you finish Finding Your Freedom, you can decide if you want to transition into Healing is Happening and continue working with your ancestors, doing the healing and being in community there. The best part is Finding Your Freedom within your life and the coaching. Healing is Happening. I facilitate. I don't do coaching. I answer your questions about ancestors. I'll make sure you're working with the right people. It's really about group facilitation, ancestral healing. Okay. I just want to discern the difference in what you get if you sign up for Finding Your Freedom and how they gather. All right. I want to give you a couple testimonials and then I'll talk more about Healing is Happening. But Jill is one of my favorites I told you about. She is a DE strategist. She's a Canadian and she works for a university in Canada. She came to me being like, I need to do ancestral healing in order to really step into this healing white supremacy in this institute. Like, I cannot more as a white person. I'm responsible for doing this. I want to do this work. And I said, cool, let's jump into it. Everything in her life shifted. How she her children as a mother. She realized she wasn't even going to leadership, that she was over because she was afraid to be brave and be seen and raise her voice, which is a common wound around white people and white women in particular, right? So we worked on that. You work with me, you get my signal and we can message back and forth and chat it up. But she's like, listen, I got this new position. This is what I'm doing. I released my kids. I've initiated my son. He's got a right. Everything in her life has changed. And I'm just so grateful because all along she needed to do the ancestral healing and the application so then she could apply it in her career and her business. And we did all three of those things, which is inside of Finding Your Freedom. Okay. So I'm really grateful for Jill. I'm very proud of her and the work that she does and the fact that she was all in for this and her people showed her what it really was. She had some mother wounds in there. She had some fear basically of being big, of being seen, of being a leader and people not liking her, wanting to be a part of a community when they need leadership. You know, there's a moment when you are a leader and you create community. When you are crouching down to be in community, sometimes you can't lead. And so we got to the core of that with her work. Am I still here? I want to just keep checking since the internet has been, yay. Did y'all get that for Jill, her testimonial? Okay, cool. Then we have Merceline, who is actually living in the UK. She's an African woman, Jess, from Kenya. And she talked about how her spiritual growth accelerated. She talked about being able to see herself being a millennial, being an African woman, being part of a human race. Everything isn't always about the color of our skin race. There's a greater part of love that she was looking for and had forgotten because of the things that had happened. Like they had immigrated to another country because of apartheid and all these other things. And for her, it was about trusting herself, coming into and understanding her past experiences and filling in all these gaps. Talk therapy did not get to those things. And I know it because I have done therapy. I've been in therapy. It's a great thing, but it does not get to ancestor stuff. It will not shift the ancestors. It makes you aware of ancestral patterns, but it does not heal the ancestors. So I was grateful to work with Merceline. She is an incredible client who is also your free twice. She loved it. Another one is Christine. This is Christine also came for 2 times. Christine, her second experience in Finding Her Freedom, and it's also a firm I originally started and looking where I am in process now. I'm no longer in denial and belief about my connection and communication with the birds, the trees, the water, my ancestors. Christine is an incredible artist, and she like actual commission. And she was like, how do I tell people that these are stories from the ancestors and the trees, birds, and nature? Like no one's going to understand it. We're talking about what is your work really about? You have a message, then it beautiful happen. There's something deeper, and she couldn't find the language for it, and that's what we did here. Now she original people, and yeah, she tells truth about what the work is, the gap, honor the lands, and come back to balance. I really love her work too. She does this like yarn cool stuff. It's really cool, and it's so cultural. It's very healing. And then finally, Amber was like, I don't even know what exactly happened. When she's called me, she had to have her write this up because she sent it as a voice message. But she was like, I went to dinner and one of her friends just kept saying, you feel different. You feel different. I don't know what you're doing, but it is amazing. But this is who I was telling you was really struggling with dating and being like, I am so accomplished and I live a certain life. I can't be vulnerable. I can't be open. And that has shifted everything through personal development, ancestral healing, and then applying it in her own life. And the thing is, she's a leader in her field. She has the knowledge of it, but living it in her own life, there was a disconnect. And that's what I specialize in. I want us to bring the wisdom from our lineages and from our higher selves into how we live and how we're showing up. That is so, it changes everything. Nothing can lie about the energy, right? I don't always have the most eloquent words, but I know you can feel me because it's from my insides, right? So this is all for finding your freedom. If this is a no for you right now, for whatever reason, that's okay. Healing is happening, is coming back. The next session opens up for July 30th is when I'll open up the registration. And then we start we meet on the first and the third Saturdays of the month, okay? So the first and the third Saturdays, the first Saturday of the month, we do facilitation. It's about 2 hours, give or take, and that's for 2 journeys where I facilitate connection with ancestors, we ask questions, you get to reflect, you get to journal, and then we go back and we do it again. And then the second call, we also do a short guided facilitation, and then we do a group just connection. What's going on? What's healing in your stuff? What's challenging in your life, right? So it is a minimum of 3 months. Overall, you would spend a maximum of 10 months, I think, in the program, and then you would realize I can do this on my own, which is what I hope everyone will realize. But you do need a minimum of 3 months learning how to connect, learning how to set your protections, understanding the process that I guide you through. And then from there, you're free to go and do whatever you would like and reach back out if you want support. But as I said, it's 2 live calls a month. We only record the facilitation parts of the call. Okay, I want to emphasize it because some people don't pay attention to that note. And it's because when you're sharing in group, people come and leave out of memberships. And I don't want your personal story living on a platform and you don't have any control of that. So the facilitation is just me on the screen like now. And you can watch me or you can listen, close your eyes and be guided. And that recording is available to you. Okay. There's also a private group space that's not on Facebook. And we do have bi-weekly check-ins. There's some homework and little like things that I'll tease up to see how you're doing and some individual support coaching around the ancestral healing. So it's like, am I dropping in? How do I know if it's really an ancestor? Those kind of questions are fine. But if you're like, I feel like I'm supposed to do something with it, that's really the personal coaching stuff. And that falls into finding your freedom or you work with me privately. Okay. Now, if you join in August, which we can take in July 30th, and then the first call is whatever that first Saturday is. What is that? August 6th, August 7th. August 7th is the first call. You do get access to 6 months before then. So from January all the way until August, you get all of the facilitations included. So you can actually go through those. And the thing is, it's not just facilitating you with your ancestors, it's also facilitating on a so you will learn how to connect with your own ancestors and do the healing of the lineage. And then the theme might be or love or abundance or worship. I guide you to ask questions with the ancestors to get the healing and see what wounds might lie in your own lineages relative to a cultural or personal theme. Okay. So these are the 2 options to deepen in the work if you want to do that. If you're like, really great, Ash, but I want to work with you privately, then you should just send me an email and we can chat about it. But this is what I'll be spending my time doing for the next 6 months, foreseeably, as far as I know, based on changing in my business to that earlier. Finding your freedom or healing is happening. I hope that y'all will join this incredible program. I'm very proud of it, and it's something that I lived through myself. So let me now come out of presentation mode, and I want to see for the next 10 minutes, as long as y'all are down for hanging out, if there's anyone who wants to share or ask questions. Are y'all still with me? Holla if you hear me. And hopefully the internet didn't block out and I've just been talking still. Okay. Are there any questions about these things? Any questions? I will wait, or you can raise your, oh no, we're not on webinar, we're on regular, so you can't raise your hand, but let me know if you do want to chat about anything or ask any questions. There's usually questions. And in the meantime, you'll get a follow-up email that has links to both Finding Your Freedom and also to Healing is Happening. I use the modality that I've collected from great question. Let me say this out loud for people on the recording. Hi, Ash Johns. I love that you put my whole name, by the way. What kind of modality do you use for ancestral healing? That's a great question. So inside of Lay of the Land's book, which you'll be getting to you, I talk about 8 ways into ancestral healing. The way that I do is specifically directly with the ancestors. So you can talk about going into trance, you could talk about drumming, you could talk about meditation, but it is about opening safe portals for you to call in the ancestors. So I don't believe there is one modality. I have trained with 4 different healers who specialize in this, and I have combined all of them into something that is unique to me and my ancestors. So if you have been working with other ancestral lineage healers, some of the things I do might seem familiar, but what I do is unique to me. That's the modality that I do. It's that Welsh modality that helps. So the main popular relating to ancestral healing as far as teachers is Alima Somé, Daniel Four, grandmother Lord, Louisa Tish, folks who are practicing ancestral ways of healing and connecting. I've worked with 3 of those 4 people. There's another a priest that I trained with in Bali, who is not on the internet at all, who I also learned some of the things that I do. And honestly, this is my calling. I learned it from myself. I was age 8. My leaf down the patterns of my family's. I want to repeat what started, right? And having ancestors visit me and talk to me about my family and about my role in our family when I was young. So it's less about modality and Western education or who taught you something. It's more about the work application in your life. And that's a lesson that we all super need. Not that we should be running around the internet saying that we can do shit, because that's some spiritual streets, but both and always. Thank you for asking that question. Yeah. Are there more questions that I can answer? Truth is, I'm going to expound upon that a little bit more. You don't even need a modality. Connecting with ancestors is your birthright. It is. Now, elevating them and learning how to honor them from one space to another is also your birthright. It's just rituals that we have forgotten because of whatever lineages or whatever's happened to our lineages of rites of passage or transition from this earth and around people not noble and honorable what we did with them when they died. So ancestral reverence that is new. It is some permission to do. But if you feel afraid to do it, if you can't remember how to do it, if you don't want to challenge yourself to figure it out, that's where sit with spirits all day are here to help you to do. But at the end of the day, you should not be working with an ancestral healer for a long time. It's your birthright to connect with your people. You just need someone to anchor and to feel safe with for a while. Figure out. You get used to figuring it out on your own. Did you find yourself doing healing work on your own family members? Great question. Yes and no. So no, I didn't do, let me see, it says the internet is stable. So okay. So no, I didn't do a lot of healing work on my own family members at all, but I would deliver messages. When I was younger, I would just be like, for example, I knew my brother was going to have a divorce before he wanted to admit that he was going to have a divorce because the spirits told me. And I was like, hey, it's okay. They've already told us told me to tell you that this is what's going to happen and we're going to support you, and they're supporting. And my brother burst out into tears and he was like, oh my God, I don't want to tell anybody, da, 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 and it was fine. So that was an example of delivering a message. But I had to live this life and my family to see what was happening in my own life, and the impact I was having in other people's lives, for them to then start asking me for support and for help or for guidance. So, and that's an example of the initiation process. You have to walk out on your own. Look, all the books that we love, The Alchemist, all of them, they're like, you train or you learn something or you have something, you go out into the world by yourself, you leave behind everyone and you live truth, accepted by people and your place who you are in your world. Journey, that warrior healer's path is, Jesus went through that. If you read the Bible, right? That thing. So no, like we're gonna deny it. I don't know. And I was like, that's fine. I know what I feel. I know what I see. I know what Spirit's telling me. And now they're like, hey, can I talk to you? Can you help me with something? More recently, my youngest brother went through some tough times, and we did have to do some ancestral healing work directly with him and his father's lineage. So it's only more recent that I've started working with family members. But to be honest with you, I'd rather my family members work with their own people because I care about them. And just like any therapist, working with your own folks, you have an invested interest in their well-being that sometimes will not make you be as objective as you need to be. So when I have had to work with family members, I'm like, listen, this is not your sister, your daughter, your niece. This is Ash. This is what I do professionally. I am not playing any games with you. Here are the boundaries. When I walk out the door and come back in, then I'll be your relative. But in this container, let's get down to it. Yeah. So thanks for asking that. You've got another one. And do you mostly do maternal or paternal ancestral lineage, or both? This is an interesting question. So I work with all lineages. So I don't know exactly what you mean by maternal or paternal, meaning you only work with mother's people or father's people, but I work with whole lineages and we go one lineage at a time. It's the best way to do it, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that's how it shakes out, because there, again, it's a balance of how much structure do you need and how much chaos do you need? You can say you're going to work one lineage at a time, but some lineages are like, listen, this is what needs to be done. And we're the higher, we're pulling rank here. We are the well ones and we want you to do well. And so we're going to come in and let you know what is needed. So there's always a balance of how to submit and trust ancestors once you've connected to ones that are well. And then when there is a time to be like, listen, one at a time, this is a lot. There's a lot going on. Your nervous system can only take so much. Your body can only take so much. And your embodiment of the healing can only go so fast. So yeah, that is the way that I mean it. So if you're saying, do I only work with women or mothers? No, I work with all and all of the lineages. No, I don't think I know anyone who's ever just worked with only maternal lineages, because you leave out, everything is balanced. We need the masculine, we need the feminine, we need the mothers, we need the fathers, we need the wombs, and we need the extremities. You're so right. Can I work with both blood and adopted family lineages? You with. I usually recommend blood, but if your adopted fam is very, like, the ancestors on the adopted family have fully adopted or like pulled you into the energetics of the lineage, then we should start there. And we determine that at the very beginning of the work. So yes, you can work with both. In fact, you should, as long as you feel a connection to them. Now, if you had been adopted, or for example, I was raised by my stepfather, and that lineage I did not need to do any work with. In fact, I needed to create space with them because I wasn't folded into their energetics. It was literally just the marriage between my mother and my father, or my mother and my stepdad, my mother and him. You know what I'm saying? So it was more so the healing that needed to happen in me and for my lineages based on that marriage that really wasn't for me. So yeah, good question. You can absolutely work with all of them. Okay. I just want to emphasize the most important thing about ancestral healing. It is your trust in yourself, your process of learning how to work with the ancestor and work. The people connect the ancestors and all the how great that feels, and they come back and just anything for anyone. It is absolutely a balance to own your role and step into your authority ancestral. So I know there's so much emphasis on ancestors, but I want to make sure, yes, say that. It's really important to me. Thanks for the message privately, Michaela. All right. You lost with the healing of the different lines. I'm struggling finding rituals that feel right, but I know there are plenty of them. They've just been scrubbed out. Yes, it can happen. I have seen people in sessions receive specific to do, specific places they needed to go, specific garbs and clothing to wear, all types of things. I've seen people find clues. They've been working on their family tree and had gotten stumped for a long time in their genealogy work on Ancestry.com, and through the help of the ancestors, they were able to get a clue and finish the tree. So yes, that can completely happen. There is nothing lost in the spirit realm, even though things do leave in the physical realm, which is something that I love. Whenever we're crying and we're like, someone recently, I'm sure y'all might have seen her. She's a famous coach person, witch lady. And she was like, so many people, those of us who are white and European, we've lost everything. And that's why we go and we're with indigenous and black and brown people's ancestors. And I'm like, or cultural practices. And I'm like, they're not lost. You just have to connect to your ancestors. We all have access to all the things. That's a really great question. Thanks for asking that. And the emphasis here is sometimes we will rely on rituals instead of the healing and the personal development that needs to go around to be able to hold the outcome of a ritual. That is important. We can do rituals, we can do things to bring stuff into our lives, but at the end of the day, we still need to embody it. And so I would just emphasize the healing that needs to happen in the lineage for you to get those specific rituals. And again, the behaviors, the mindset change, the ways that you relate and move in the world needs to hold the rituals so you can have what you. Okay, that's our hope that y'all will be interested in freedom is happening. I hope that you got insight to an area of life that you want to be in your authority. Life so bringing me. You'll get the replay in your email as well as links and ways that you can sign up. Sending y'all lots of love. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.